He's been such a good boy. The gravitate. That's Exodus. They're going to actually be heading on the next.
Okay, great.
She wrote that song.
Introduce the problem to the answer, and you will see that problem step aside. There's no place for fear. The God of heaven is near. Step out in faith and face it eye to eye. Don't tell me about that mountain. Tell that mountain about me. Face your feet, shout that name, proclaim the victory. You say your prayers, now take a stand, get up on your knees. Told me about that mountain,
Good afternoon. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC in Christ Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182, locally right here in North Alabama. You can find us on channel 182 on Charter Communications, and then you can turn right around and watch us nationwide, this worldwide, and that's with Abundant TV, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. So exciting, all these great things that are happening. Geraldine's on the map, you know that.
Well, you've put us there.
You put us there. And I'm going to tell you, I've got Mayor Chuck Abels with us right now. And I tell everybody, I mean, wherever I'm at, I say, we got the world's best mayor and leave him alone. And let me tell you how I know people from other states are listening to us. I had AP Stedham, you know, AP, he does sports, and he's starting his own show. So we're just all growing like crazy. Yeah. And so he was on the show the other day. And so this lady sent a text and said we were talking about Saban getting people from California and whatever. And she said, tell Saban to leave California alone and leave our players alone. And then this guy from Texas sent a message and he said, don't mess with Texas either. So anyway, we know we're being listened to. And if you are listening and you're from another state or maybe from another country and you're thinking about starting a business in the States, right here's a place to do it, right?
It's a place. It's a good place.
Yeah, because we're right in the middle of everything.
We are. You know, we're close to a lot of things, to airports and interstates.
Within driving distance.
Yeah, but far enough out to, you know, not have the hustle and bustle every day. And we've got all the great things you need. Got sewer, we got great internet, you know, got good electricity with our co-ops, you know, good rates on that. I mean, it's a good place. Got a good workforce. We got people that'll work.
The school system is awesome too. And I just wanted to mention this. If you get in trouble at this school, your parents are going to know about it before you get home. Yeah. And so just not a whole lot of riffraff goes on around here, but that's the regular teenage stuff, which is always going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, you know, a few tomatoes and watermelons get thrown, but you know,
rolling yards and stuff. Hey, but you know what? Back in the day, if your yard, I don't know if you people up north know what I'm talking about. So we had this little thing that, of course, I didn't do it.
Heard about it though, right?
Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah.
And so what happens is kids will get toilet paper and just roll your yard. I mean, it's just
trees and porch,
but you want somebody to fuss with you. If somebody gets out, and I forgot who it was, and I was involved in this one. So we were rolling somebody's yard one time, and this man, I mean, we wanted him to come out and get mad. So he comes out on the porch, opens up the door, and he goes, "You kids having fun out there?" And so we were going, yes, sir. And he said, well, okay, y'all have fun. And then he shut the door and they took the fun away from it. You want somebody to get mad.
Yeah. But it's kind of a status symbol too, you know, to get your yard rolled.
Oh,
you know.
Man. Yeah. Tommy Raines and Billy Raines.
Yeah.
I know they did it. So they rolled our yard one time because we grew up in Geraldine, or I did in the 10th grade. And so our yard was rolled. So we got one step up on Tommy and Billy. So what we did is we got out really early in the morning and gathered up all the toilet paper. And I know they did it because they were standing up. We're the last ones on the bus. And so everybody on the bus was standing up looking. And so Chuck and I, my brother Chuck, we just acted like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And we said, what are y'all standing up for? And everybody goes, we thought your yard got rolled. And we were like, I don't know anything about our yard getting rolled. But it was kind of a status symbol. Yeah, that means you're something if your yard gets rolled.
Yeah. Of course, my parents were both school teachers, so
Of course.
we always got our yard rolled, but that's okay too.
The only thing I didn't like is the little pieces of paper.
Yeah.
Because you had to clean all that.
Yeah. It's important to get it cleaned up before it rained.
Yeah, it's very important. I'll tell you, one time we went to bed, and so we were hearing something go thump 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 on that meant somebody was throwing the roll over and it was going thump 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 thump, thump right there on the roof of the house. But really, I mean, that's all we get into.
And this is right around Halloween.
Yeah.
When this is out, of course.
Mm-hmm. It's just something. Is Geraldine the only area that I'm not hearing anybody else? So other people do this too?
I don't know. I don't remember it happening the 20 years I lived in Birmingham.
It didn't happen in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I thought, and that was the one thing, we'd been living in Charlotte for about 4 years, and I said, I don't know about anybody's yard being rolled. That's the one thing I missed. But I'm going to tell you, some good people in Charlotte. We first moved there, and like us, we have a lot of respect. Like, there's a funeral procession. We'll pull over the side of the road,
Sure.
how long it takes. No matter if you're running late for an appointment, we stop and let people by. And so we moved to Charlotte, and I said, "Do you think people around here do that, Phil?" And they did.
Well, good.
Yeah. So, I mean, even the Northerners didn't understand that. They would say, what's going on? And people get mad, yelling, honking their horns, all that kind of stuff. So if I could, I'd get out and I'd say, this is just something we do in the South. It's a funeral. Yeah. So
A little respect.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So lots of respect going on. But that's another reason you want to live here. And also the cost of living.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just heard on the news a few minutes ago, the average price of gasoline is now down to $4.77, and it's like $4.20
here
something here. And I saw some $4.07 not, just a couple of days ago close by.
I can't believe I was tickled to death to pay $4.20. I was tickled. I said, Phil said, I'm only paying $4.25 a gallon. No, wait a minute. Still too high. But anyway, your cost of living is going to be a lot lower here. And then your neighbors, I mean, they kind of look out after you.
Yeah, they do. I mean, that several stories. I a couple of years ago, I was driving on the road I live on. There's just like 8 houses on that road, Well, I went by and one house that I knew was vacant, but I saw a truck and trailer out there, and I thought, something about that doesn't look right. So I text this guy and I said, hey, there's a van and a trailer out at your sister's house, anything going on? He said, not that I know of. So I got the police to go check it out. I mean, they were just in there loading it up, trying to carry it off, but that didn't work.
Yeah, people have noticed that. I know Roger Ritchie and Mary lived right up, across the street from us, and so we've kind of laughed around with Roger and them, and said, if they ever take guns away from us, Roger said, they ain't taking my gun. I said, I ain't taking mine either. And they said, but man, we could look out after each other, couldn't we? And I said, man, I'm glad you're the neighbor across the street.
I tell you, I mean, I got a call just a couple of days ago. It was yesterday, actually. Just, just somebody, I don't go into details, but said, I saw something that just didn't look right, said, you might want to check it out. So, checked it out, but, we, might not know everybody's name around still, but we still kind of look out for each other and know when things don't look just right.
Yeah, I mean, like Mary and Roger just come across and just say, is everything okay? Like they'll notice cars out and stuff like that, you know. But mother has fallen. She fell. Oh, yeah. The mother, if you're listening right now, I'm the mother, she's the daughter. And so she has been going out, working out in the yard during the heat of the summer. I mean, like, and then she does it, you know, she looks like really good. She doesn't want wrinkles and stuff. So what she'll do is she'll wear all these clothes. And I'll say, Mother, wear shorts. Stop it. You know, so there she's got all these clothes on, long sleeves, something over it, because she doesn't want her face to get wrinkled. And so I think what happened, it was the heat of the day, like right at lunch, right before I got on the show. And so I think she fainted. I think she passed out and she fell down. Then she fell down again on the tub and got a couple of black eyes. She don't want anybody to come over. She wants
97 degrees outside, you know, come on.
So anyway, the doctor said, well, what happened? And I said, we went to Michelle.
Yeah.
And I said, Michelle, you're going to have to talk to her. Said, she'll listen to you. She's not going to listen to me. And Michelle said, now you can't go out like that. She said, that's hard enough on football players at practice time.
Yeah.
And
so our Geraldine Clinic.
That's another reason. Yeah. So I brought what Mother did to talk about Michelle for a minute. So I told Michelle, and she's getting a little bit hard of hearing. So Michelle was talking to me and she said, now you tell her. And I said, no, you tell her. I said, if she's going to listen to you, she's not going to listen to me.
Yeah.
And she did, you know, and so thanks, Michelle. And every time I see Michelle, I say, thanks for saving my life. She'll say, again, you did it.
You know, just great people here, you know, taking care of us. They do such a good job. And, you know, we're, you know, we talked about it before. We're trying to get them a little bit bigger place to,
I hope so.
work and, you know, apply for a grant.
Because I'm bringing her customers in from other places. Yeah. I mean, I'm bringing them in because she's so good. And she was able to, when I had COVID, I didn't have to go to the hospital. And that was with asthma, you know, that's just, you know, you'll be there for days. And I said, Michelle, I don't want to go to the hospital. Whatever I need to do, I will do it. And she did. And so she's not the only doctor around here who.
I don't have the infusions.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, they
to be
they
such
had
a small
them.
town, we
And,
got going on.
And you know, just, I mean, she just did her homework and made sure she had what she needed to take care of us. And you know, she and her husband Jeff were committed to staying right here and taking care of us. We're gonna try to get them a bigger place. And applied for a grant with Congressman Adderholt's office. And, it'll be, you know, after the new budget, be October before we hear. But you know, things look pretty good for us to be able to do that.
You know it.
Yeah, and of course, you know, we're talking about remodeling and fixing up the old Liberty Bank building that they were generous and donated to the town. I mean, just, you know, been here over 50 years. And, you know, just great people to do business with. We always talk about Nancy.
Yeah.
And
Nancy at the bank.
She's the contact. You know, you call, Nancy's who you're going to get first, and then she'll put you in touch with whoever can take care of you.
I've never seen back to switch a hat as quick as she does, because we're just like, you know, talking about school and, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And then she'll say, what are you in for? And then I'll tell her, like I had an issue with one of these prescriptions. Now I've got to learn to stop doing that. And so this people just kept charging me for it. It wasn't much. It's just that it just kept on after I discontinued it. So it turns right around to the business hat. And then she goes, well, and then she was telling me who could help me with that. And man, it got handled that day. And I've dealt with big banks before. And I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they're nice and they're big and all this kind of stuff. But the only thing about that is you've got to go through 10 chains of command when you're having a problem.
Yeah.
And here you just talk to Nancy, and then she goes, that one right there. And she just gets you right there.
It's not we'll get back in touch with you in a week or two.
Or like leave 10 messages and they take forever to call you back. Yeah. I hate the ones where you got to press 1 for this, press 2 for that. And that's just to keep you busy.
Yeah.
And, you know, while they're, you know, waiting on that one person to answer the phone. Yeah. But I love it when I can just call and there she is.
Yeah. And like you say, call her when you go in, you know, she'll find whoever you need, take care of whatever you need to do.
Absolutely, she does.
But we really appreciate Liberty Bank and what they've meant to us over 50 something years. But we're going to make good use of the building and just
How many square feet is that building?
You know, I should know that, but I don't.
About 4,000 or more?
Probably at least that, yeah. And it, you know, when you go in and start looking at all the rooms in there, you know, everybody that has been in there says, "Oh, this is a lot bigger than I thought."
Yeah, once you walk on the inside. But
Yeah.
I remember going there with my granddad. We grew up in Oxford, Chehaw Acres. And so we would come here and stay on the week, about 2 or 3 weeks at a time to get to be on the farm. And it was always so much fun. My granddad would go to the bank and I would always want to go with him. And they'd always give you a sucker or something.
Yeah.
And my granddad say, "You think you could throw another one in there?"
Our granddaughter Nyla Jane is staying with us this week, and she always likes to go to the bank or the drive-through or something, just get a sucker, and everybody's always, hey, everybody's always friendly and all that. But we're having fun this week having her there. Had a pretty good sized family get together Monday, our kids and some of the grandkids. And so she lives in Huntsville, but she's getting to stay this week. Do some things.
And she'll talk about that for years to come when you get to go to the town Geraldine.
Yeah. She just turned 11 and just growing up fast. But she's a lot of help around the house, and she's nice and polite and minds, and she gets a few more sweets than she does at home with us. But
yeah. Okay, I gotta ask a question. So when she's going home, do you give her like extra candy bars to make sure the kids pay for their raising? I think Mother did that.
Yeah.
I really do, because Brad would go and stay with them for just a few days. And and by the way, everything had to be perfectly clean,
Yeah.
And so we couldn't, like the sliding glass door, we couldn't have fingerprints on it and that kind of thing. So I went to pick Brad up one time, and there was his hands with chocolate or something was all over it. And I said, "Oh, let me go ahead and clean that up." Mother goes, "No, don't do that." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "I'll get to look at it when he's." I said, "You never wanted to look at ours." And I said, "Whoever you are, get out of my mother's body."
Yeah.
But it's a little different with grandkids.
Yeah, it is. But, still get instructions from my
you
daughter,
still
say, if you want her to come stay, you got to follow these rules,
No 5 Hershey's bars before they go.
Yeah. But she's pretty good about that, because she's really involved in Taekwondo. And so she takes care of herself pretty good. Oh yeah. 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 She's got several gold stars or blue ribbons and gold medals. So I'm thinking, and I think next week she's got a sparring camp. She gets into the sparring pretty good. She practiced on me last year.
That's why. Is that what happened to you?
No.
I thought I would ask. I didn't know if I needed to bring that up or not, Mayor.
Just little surgery to fasten the tendon back. Tore my bicep tendon loose.
Football injury?
No, not exactly. But we won't go into that. It's just
let that one go, I think.
But it's always encouraging when the doctor starts out and says, "Now your age,"
Oh, I hate it when they do that. You're no spring chicken anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's healing up fine. I go back this afternoon and get stitches out, see how things are going. I think it's doing all right.
So if you have to have therapy, we got a great place right here.
We sure do.
You're not gonna have to go to Birmingham.
I know.
Or Atlanta.
Just right across from town hall. Advanced physical therapy. Had a ribbon cutting a couple of weeks ago, and pretty good turnout for that. Right there on Highway 75 across from town hall, and got a place in Henniger and Owens Crossroads. Been in business about 20 something years, I think. They're real good, real friendly, and looks like business is pretty good. See quite a few cars over there, so heard some real good things about it. So must be doing good.
Yeah, friendly staff. One of the ladies who works there, I know her husband, and so he is a glass maker. And so he's in Mentone, and he offers classes. So I'm going to get him on the show. We're going to talk about making glass.
Orbix glass. Yeah.
Yeah. Phil right now is going, oh no, she's going on another project.
Hey,
I may want to blow glass.
I got a little tour up there a few years ago. It's amazing.
Amazing, isn't it?
It really is. Really
Beautiful
is.
glass piece and Christmas ornaments, just all kinds of things he does.
Just right here in DeKalb County, just lots of opportunities.
Speaking of DeKalb County, we got the world's best sheriff too, and I tell him that all the time. And so Nick Weldon's his name. So he has this thing, it's called the Shining Star. And this is just more help. Maybe your neighbors work and they're not going to see everything that goes on. But this is just a database program they have. And so you need to pick up one of these cards and go ahead and fill it out. And this is called the Shining Star. It's better info for better outcomes, but it is a database. So who can register? Okay, it can be any age from young children to the elderly. Citizens with special needs, citizens with mental disorders, seniors with disorders such as Alzheimer's or dementia, and just everybody, citizens of DeKalb County. And so they started that in hopes it'll spread statewide and then possibly nationwide, and it possibly will because of the abundant TV. So we're going to see if we can get this to happen. But this is something really good that was put together, and we want to thank you, Sheriff Weldon.
Well, he's a hard-working guy. Got a lot of good help. Several of his deputies and investigators pass through town hall pretty regular. Come and talk to the chief or doing things there, and a bunch of good folks.
Well, they're very helpful too with our events, like with the music and Geraldine Park event we had in May, and then with the other we had some fun. Yeah, and we're already talking about next year, and we got a couple of things we're just in the works for next year. And can you tell us yet? We had
what? Well, one thing that we're kind of working on, it's not set, but we have a pretty good number of Hispanics in our area, and a few years ago there was a Hispanic band came out in the parking lot out here and to do a show. Unfortunately, it rained and the wind was blowing about 50 miles an hour and blew their tents away. But anyway, we want to try to have something, bring some of those folks in with the band, and I've talked to some of the local people about that, and we're kind of leaning toward May the 6th next year, which will be obviously the day after Cinco de Mayo. But a guy here in town has got a friend in Texas that he grew up with. They've got a band, and he thinks they may come, and just we try to have something for everybody. Oh yeah.
Oh, Phil's gonna love that. Yeah. He loves Mexican food.
Yeah. And very sketchy details at this point, but we're kind of aiming toward that, and I know that's getting around close to your time to have one, but
maybe I need to move my date because that'd be like two right together.
Yeah, but just we'll see how things go.
I'm gonna have an event here every weekend myself.
Yeah, but and I think we're gonna make this happen. We've talked about doing something for Christmas in the park.
Oh, that would be so much fun. I'd have Christmas every day too.
Decorate some trees around the walking track and light that up, and hadn't worked out all the details about that, but I think we're going to probably make that happen. And obviously we'd have a night or two of some caroling and probably pictures of Santa.
The singing mayor. I don't know how many times I've been asked this, but every time we have an event, I go ahead and put your picture up there. Yeah. Some people think you're going to be singing. So you've got plenty of time to practice.
Yeah. I don't know. I may need more than that, but
away in a manger, that would be a real simple one.
Hey, I I know some people that can sing.
Yeah, well.
I'm married to one.
I didn't know she sang.
Oh, she was a voice major in college.
Good
Yes.
girl.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was in acapella choir at Sanford and voice major. She can sing now, didn't he?
Well, then, okay, we got part of the talent.
Yeah, yeah. Back, the first time my dad heard her sing, and all my family except me are singers, but my dad said, "Now, don't marry her just to entertain us." Said it needs to be for a different reason, but said, you know, bring her all you
But
want
I'm
to,
good
let her
with
hear her
it.
sing. Yeah. But oh yeah. And she sings in the community choir at Sneed and directs the choir at the community choir at Albertville, and does a couple of concerts every year. But
I got to get out more. Let me know when these are going to be, because I'm going to make sure I go.
Yeah.
Because we love Catherine.
But we're working on that. We've got some work to do. We got to put some plugs in so we can plug in lights, but we'll get that done, and just still working on details, but we think we'll be able to make that happen.
And maybe it'll snow and we got some ice and have some ice skating.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be great. We could the basketball court
no,
out
I don't
there.
want that to happen. No. No, because now when you're up north, I know you people from up north make fun of us. But now it's different. Y'all have that pretty fluffy snow. We have ice.
Yeah.
And it's a little different.
Yeah. We might bring in an ice skating rink or something like that.
Yeah, let's just do a make-believe.
Yeah.
Do a virtual one.
Yeah.
Oh, we could use this great big green screen we have here.
Yeah.
Just pretend.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
But that would be fun to have something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. And we're gonna get something done. We'll work out the details on that. But just be planning on sometime in December. We'll be having Christmas in the park.
I really like the way the town looks at Christmas time. All of the lights and everything. I always look forward to Christmas every year just to see that. It's just, I like to decorate.
And I mean, well, I know I'm going to be bragging, but I like to brag on our town. But
yeah, I do too.
The lights that you put up on the poles during Christmas.
That's what I was talking about. I love those.
Yeah, and ours have a lot of different colors in the lights. I mean, most places are just white lights. Cost a little more to do the colors, but they look a lot better with all the blues and reds and greens and oranges.
And it shows a lot of town pride.
Yeah.
And that's why we're saying, if you are living in another area and you're listening to this show and you're thinking, man, I want to check that place out, you need to come down here and check it out. But let me say something to all the folks who work here. Okay. You never know when you're being shopped, right?
Yeah.
Somebody, I don't think I've run across anybody rude, but I'm just going to say that I have been in towns before where the checkout person wouldn't be friendly, or they'd be playing on their phone, or whatever, and it appears if you didn't like your job. Well, people who are shopping your town, they look at stuff like that, don't they?
They do. They sure do. And but we've got lots of great places to eat in town, and Dollar General now is a Dollar General Market.
I'm so glad of that.
I
like it. It looks bigger. I know they've not expanded the building at all, but for some reason it just looks bigger. It looks like they built onto it.
Yeah, and just a lot more items, different items than they had, and
it's handy. Like Mother wanted some milk, so now I'm the caretaker. So she wanted some milk the other day. It's handy, just run down there and get it. And it's a good price too.
Yeah, and open till 11 p.m. I mean, don't need to be out much later than that.
I remember we used to roll up the sidewalks here in Geraldine at a certain time. When it'd get dark, I'd go, oh no, they're gonna start rolling up the sidewalks now. We're going to have to cut into a commercial break. We're going to be right back in just a few minutes. Man, time flies, doesn't it?
It does.
30 minutes already, man. All right, now be thinking, if you have some questions for me, or if you would just like to know more about the town of Geraldine, you can send me a text if you want to, or you can send an email if that's easier. Donna at icradio.media. That's Donna at icradio.media. Let's go into a break. We'll be right back in just a minute.
see that problem, step aside.
We are back. Good afternoon. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC in Christ Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television too, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundant TV.
Yeah.
We're so proud to be with Abundant TV, and they're found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You know, I didn't know what Roku. I mean, I'd heard of Roku, and so Rob, who's going to be on the show tomorrow, he said. He wanted me to have my own channel. And so, and thank you, Rob, for doing that. You've been so sweet. And so now he's not from here. He ain't from here. And I said, you just want to do this to make fun of my Southern accent. He said, no, he said, the shows are fun. And he'd been on the show, and he's a promoter, also a music promoter.
Yeah.
And so that's how I actually got to know Rob. But Rob's going to be on the show tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And I'm really excited about that too. So a lot of fun stuff happening.
It's great.
Hey, guess what? I robbed the bees.
Yeah.
Phil and I robbed the bees.
All right.
Yeah, on July 4th. And if I had known this would have had bees a long time ago. So, but I only took 2 of the racks, or 2.5 of the racks. So we have 3 of the boxes, beehives. And out of just 2 boxes, I put up 8 pints of honey.
Wow.
Those things are reproducing like crazy, but now they got a lot of flower and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like the botanical garden.
Yeah, it is.
Right there anyway. And the block garden is doing really good. Brian Brown's going to be on the show at 2 o'clock. I hope he can make it. I know he has a meeting, so we're going to see if he can. He wants to come. He wants to see this block building.
Yeah.
Or the blocks for the plants and stuff. But I can't believe how, and I recommend this to everybody. If you want a low maintenance garden, cinder blocks. I'm not doing any weeding whatsoever. The weeding is the flowers out in the front yard. Yeah. That's new, and they're reproducing like crazy. And I don't know how many. As a matter of fact, if you want some cucumbers, you can take some with you today.
I've got plenty.
Yeah. That's something you can grow.
I mean, you can watch them grow.
I know. It's just like, you know, my granddad used to say, you know, sometimes he would talk about somebody and say, I think they could sit and watch grass grow.
Yeah.
You can watch cucumbers grow here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not spend a whole lot of time at it. But that wanted to bring that up with farmers market.
Yeah. Today at 2 o'clock, farmers market will be open. And then Saturday, again at 10 a.m. And, you know, it's going pretty well. One of our big vendors from last year had some health issues and not able to be there this year, Brother Lambert. But you know, always enjoyed getting to visiting with him. But yeah, there's you know, probably not as many tomatoes for sale up there as people want to buy, but the first ones up there, you know, usually buy them out pretty quick.
You better.
But
what is it about the tomatoes? They're so good here.
I think it's just the soil, I guess. I don't know.
My stepfather he lived in Chicago for a while, and he said it was back in the 40s or 50s or sometime, and he was talking about people from Alabama, Sand Mountain. And he said people in Chicago would talk about Sand Mountain tomatoes.
Yeah. I mean, I've got friends in Birmingham that just stay after me all the time. You know, when are you gonna bring me some tomatoes?
Yeah.
You know?
That's just another reason to be here.
Yeah.
And just go put a few plants out, and you're gonna have something going on. I wanted to mention this. Anytime we have any severe weather or anything, you guys are really fast on putting stuff on the Facebook page.
That's our Donna takes care of that. Donna Johnson, our clerk.
She is awesome.
She keeps things up to date on that, and you know, does a great job. But you know, we try to keep our storm shelter, you know, available. And I know we're one of the first ones around to open our storm shelter, even, you know, just for severe thunderstorms, because you know, it can change in a hurry. So we make sure it's open out behind town hall. And but you know, check our Facebook page out there, Geraldine AL, and
you make sure you get the right one, because there was one that's not really nice, and that's not the official page. Okay. Yeah. Because when I first moved here, and I thought, I don't think that's the town of Geraldine.
Yeah. It's got this logo right here. You'll see this logo right
That's
here
what
on it.
it looks like right there.
Yeah.
That's the official one.
Yeah.
Not the other one.
And but you know, she
So there's some pictures right there. Donna went on ahead and brought that in there. And that's at the farmer's market. And you can see that. Look at those different colors.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some green ones. And then I see cucumbers and I see squash. There's tomatoes, but you better hurry and get those tomatoes
Yeah.
super fast if you want some of those for canning. And then the homemakers club, they stopped by and gave you guys some treats the other
they
day.
did. Just what can we do to help? And you know, they're just encouraging and came by and you know, we have people. Well, you know, I don't know this guy's name, but he's one of the guys that delivers the chips to the stores around here. And every once in a while, I mean, every week or so, I'll hear this bang, bang, bang on the back door. And I'll go out there and there'll be a couple of boxes of chips sitting there.
Oh, man.
Said, you know, share these with police officers, and people that work here. And
because we love our police officers.
yeah. I mean, they have to deal with some pretty unusual and difficult people. And I mean, you know,
That's
everybody's
the fun
not good.
part of
You
it,
know?
right?
We get some strays in here sometimes.
Yeah.
Don't
People
act just
passing
right.
through.
Yeah.
Passing through. Yeah, my granddad in Oxford used to be a police officer.
Yeah.
And this is back in the 1950s. And it's not like it was in the 1950s in Oxford, needless to say. And so he told us about Elvis would pass through.
Yeah.
And this is in the 1950s. And Elvis would go from Albertville, or not Albertville, but from Atlanta to Birmingham,
Yeah.
Birmingham, Atlanta, whatever. And he used, we didn't have I-20 back
Right.
then. That was
US 78. Yeah.
right there. But the only thing is he couldn't tell anybody anything until after he left.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want a mob of girls going. And
Right.
mother would have been one of them. She's a huge Elvis fan. So she couldn't say anything. So he would say, well, nobody's going to believe me. But Elvis was here at the Holiday Inn. That's all we had was the Holiday Inn back then. Oxford was really, really small back then. Had the little downtown part. It was about like Geraldine is now. And he'd say, unfortunately, I can never tell anybody. And then nobody in the family, nobody believes me that Elvis was here.
And fortunately, he didn't have a Barney Fife like when the gold truck came through Mayberry.
True.
And
Yeah, that's
Barney
one of my favorite
Kind of
shows.
let it get out.
Kind of let it go.
Yeah.
So that's why you can't tell
Yeah.
anybody anything, because somebody like that comes through.
Yeah.
You know, but man, we had somebody living right here. You know, a lot of folks have, you know, especially with the Alabama boys, you know, when I was talking with all them last year, play football for Alabama, and they would say, well, where's Geraldine? I would say, do you know the song I Love You More Today Than Yesterday, Not As Much As Tomorrow, Pat Upton? They said, yeah. And I said, he's from here. He's from the town of Geraldine. So I went to the big movie premiere, and those guys were all there. And that's what they were saying. Instead of saying Donna, they would say, I love you more today than yesterday, but not as much as tomorrow. They were all just saying that all the time. But they were a lot of fun. But Pat Upton.
Yep. Grew up in the church I go to and in FFA quartet, you know, school, and made it big.
Well, what was it like? Like, okay, so you went to school with him, and because we grew up in Oxford, I didn't get here until the 9th or the 10th grade. And so when you saw him on television the first time, I mean,
it was special. I mean, you know, he's a little older than I am, but you know, friends with a couple of his sisters, you know, and couple of his younger brothers that lived around, and you know, still, you know, see them a lot. And I mean, and of course, I was living in Birmingham then, you know, when he was making it big. But I mean, I didn't miss a chance to say, hey, I know that guy, you know.
we were staying here one time, my brother and I, and so Pat was on American Bandstand,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, my grandparents were like, well, that's old Pat,
Yeah.
you know, on TV. And then I didn't know who he was. I wasn't raised right here in this town. And I said, where's he from? Remember my grandmother saying, right here, right here in Geraldine.
Yeah. And he came and sang for us at one of the picnics in the park a few years ago, just for free. Didn't charge anything. You know, but always glad to help out his hometown, and just a real good guy. when he passed away, I remember I'd been on your show up on Lookout Mountain, and Phil and I were just talking about him just a few days before he passed away. But good family.
Yeah, super, super good family.
But his dad was the original owner of Beeline Express. It was in Albertville. And I just loved their slogan. A trucking company, and their slogan was, "Our business is picking up."
That was really good.
And
but I didn't think about that one.
Yeah, but just good folks, and
well, there's a lot of talent right in here. Like Leah, who was here at the last event just last month. So I didn't know if you knew this, but she was on the show.
Yeah.
And okay, I didn't know if you knew that, but she was on the show prior to that. But I had interviewed her before, and when I was working at a station, and she was a lot of fun that day too.
Yeah.
And she said, "I didn't know if you were going to let me on because yours is a Christian station." And I said, "You're a Christian, girlfriend. Come on." But she was really good. She entertains really well. She got a great voice. Her dad was actually there.
Yeah.
At the park.
Yeah. And I don't know if you remember, my wife Catherine was in Houston when we had that, and she got home the next week. And so the following Friday night, Catherine and I went up to Cleveland, Tennessee to hear Leah and her group sing. They were doing just a concert outside out there, and surprised her when she looked up and saw me there.
Did you see that cute little girl who was dancing?
Yeah.
It looked like a little 2-year-old. And this little girl, and Leah was wanting her to come up on stage. And that's just the kind of girl Leah is. And so Leah was just laughing at her, and there she was. I got to sing a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got this. Well, like very short.
But not only a great singer and a great voice, but a great entertainer. I mean, she puts on a show now.
Personality.
Just energy running out the ears.
She's a great entertainer.
Yeah. Hope we can get her back sometime.
I hope so. And we'll have her on the show again.
Yeah. But a lot of good things going on. We're about to do a little bit more paving and patching and some things, get some things dressed up a little bit, and school will be starting in a month.
Already, yeah. The parents can hardly wait for the kids to get out, but now's about the time they're going, let's see, when will it be back on again? So what kind of programs are being offered? I know when I went to school, they didn't have near the programs they have now. I graduated at Geraldine, and I remember taking home ec and Miss Morgan. Yeah. And I remember Miss Morgan, oh my goodness, you should have seen my dress. So mother is a seamstress, so she's like sewed for the public, and and done like wedding dresses and curtains and stuff like that. So Miss Morgan saw my dress that I did. It was a straight dress and had pockets on it, and she just looked at it and went, "I expected more from you." I said, "I didn't take that talent from mother," but she was an awesome teacher.
Yeah, I remember her. But I know they've got a lot of new programs going on at school, and I'm kind of out of the loop on the school thing.
The football team is really coming along, aren't they?
They are just doing great. Coach Davis and all of the assistant guys. I mean, I'm just tickled to death to have him leading the way, and in football, and good folks coaching basketball, and they all help each other, and.
I'm thrilled with the girls' teams.
Yeah.
The girls' teams are just showing out.
Yeah. And I was real happy to get to be a part of the induction of Christie Brothers into the DeKalb County Sports Hall of Fame. Coached volleyball here for 21 years, I think. 872 wins, state championship, lots of county championships, and other things. And good turnout of former players there at the banquet, and she had a lot to talk about, and talked about her parents, of course, and her dad was the principal and when she was the volleyball coach, but he was a great encourager for her. And I mean, I, you know, had to be very emotional for her with him passed away. And, you know, he was always there to encourage her. And she said, at the banquet, she said, you know, after nearly every match, said he wouldn't come up and say, well, you should have done this, you should have done that. He'd say, now, did you ever think about maybe, you know, doing it this way,
nice.
or doing something like that?
Uh-huh.
And you know, she said, and oftentimes she'd think, you know, he had. And then she'd say, well, you know, come to think of it, you know, that might have been, you know, a good way to do things, or, you know, playing a certain person. She said, you know, you didn't see her at practice yesterday, missed 20 times, you know, but, you know, game day might have been different. Might should have given her a chance and that kind of thing. But you know, she's now the Sneed College volleyball coach, and just got that job this summer, and sure they'll do well. She's an intense person now. It's not an easy thing to do, but
it's not a hobby.
No.
She's really serious, and that's what makes a great coach.
Yeah, but you know, but again, she does it the right way and encourages and builds character, and you know.
But you know, those are the teachers that really stick out in my mind. Those are the ones I really remember the most. Now I'm going to tell you, I didn't appreciate it at the time, but Miss Gwendolyn Ritchie, I know you knew what I was thinking about her.
Absolutely.
Not at the time. I had one. I got there. It was in ninth grade. So we moved from Oxford to Geraldine in ninth grade, and then the ninth grade. I think it was ninth grade. I won the math contest, and I got to. And I keep going up there to look see where my picture is. I'm joking. I don't want to be there. But I won the math contest. And I got to represent Geraldine High School, and I was in the ninth grade, and it was held up at Rainsville.
Yeah.
And what they now is the center, you know, for technical schools and stuff like that. And then the next year it was the typing contest with Miss Driscoll.
Yeah.
And so I won it for the school that year, the very next year, and I got to go represent the school again that year. So it's the very next year. I was walking down the hall, extremely shy, didn't want anybody looking at me. As a matter of fact, I almost said, I'm going to get sick. I don't want to represent the school in either one of those contests. And so she said, Mrs. Shears. And I was like, oh no, what did I do? I was just thinking, my friend Robin was we were like Laverne and Shirley. She was really rambunctious, and I was really quiet. So Robin said, you're into it. I don't want you done. But anyway, you're in trouble. So I walked in and I go, yes, ma'am. And she said, sit down. And I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, you excelled in math and you excelled in typing. I want to know why you're not excelling in here, unless it's something you like. Because I really like the, you know, the social studies part and stuff of it. But it was the nouns and pronouns and stuff. I hated that part of it. But I'm going to tell you what, she made me get up in front of everybody at speech.
Yeah.
She picked on me, and she said, you're going to be the first one. And I thought, I'm going to pass out now. Just get it over with. So I got up there, but I was able to, I don't know, I could do it. I could do the speech part of it better than one-on-one. I don't know what the deal was about that. So I've thought about that, you know. So now I'm a talk show host, and I've been one since the 90s. And
hey,
she brought it out.
She made me get up and speak in front of the class and memorize poems and say them, and
she did.
You know, it's stuck. I mean, you know, and it's certainly come in handy too. Like I said, I didn't necessarily appreciate it at the time.
Didn't either. I was just like, I don't like her anymore. But I'm going to tell you, if you got a teacher like that and they push you to the limit, and there's a lot of good ones here at Geraldine, and you need to, parents, don't get mad at a teacher like that. That teacher is bringing out the best in your kids.
Yeah.
That's not picking at all. Now, at the time I thought she was picking on me.
Yeah.
But it's not. I mean, those are your absolute best teachers. We have about 2 minutes left in this segment.
Okay.
Can you believe this?
It's crazy, you know. But again, I mean, just for people looking for a place to start a business or to live, my email is mayorchuck@farmers, FARMERSTEL.com. Our phone number at Town Hall is 256-659-2122. Get more information, you know, look at our website or Facebook page and see opportunities. But you know, we've got great clinic, we've got a great bank, we've got lots of places to eat, we've got physical therapy, we've got lower gas prices than a lot of other places, and got a great school, and
We've got parks all around
got
us.
parks, and got state parks within 10 miles. Gunnersville State Park, 20 miles. And I know I've mentioned this girl Tia before that moved here from Florida, and I saw on Facebook she's talking about what all she had canned and preserved, and she's got a huge garden, and just
She's loving it.
yeah, she is just having a great time. But got plenty of places to live and opportunities for jobs, and one of the first places around with gigabit speed internet. So Farmers Telecommunications is great, and they're always doing upgrades, and just a great company. And say our electricity comes through co-ops, so we got good competitive rates.
Yeah, because this last election, I heard about others that don't have the co-ops, and it's not so good.
Right.
We got it going on.
And we're 20 miles from 3 interstate access points, and we got what you need.
And I mentioned the schools because these are super. I'm not saying that it's perfect here. It's not perfect. Regular teenage stuff. But you know what? Sometimes if a teenager's not acting like a teenager, you think they're sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm talking. It's not outrageous, crazy stuff. So.
No.
You didn't see my cat jump up there, did you? Y'all didn't see that. I have to brag on my grandkids. I mean, they're teenagers, most of them. Some of them are a little beyond that, but a couple of 18-year-olds that, they came and helped us get things ready for the get together Monday. Some one-armed, there's limits some of the things I can do. It's kind of hard to use clippers, Yeah, you can't quite.
I've taken a little bit of advantage of this.
I wonder if it really is. What if he's just acting?
I'll show you when we get out there.
No, that's okay.
Got about 10 stitches down through there.
No, I don't want to see.
Okay.
That's okay.
But going to see about those, maybe get those out here in a little while. But
is it the staples?
No, it's
It is
stitches.
stitches.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a stitch than a staple.
Yeah.
Staples itch too much.
Yeah.
I
But
you can ask Mother, she had to have a little stitch up there too.
Yeah. But got good grandkids, and and I have people tell me that, and then and
yeah,
and
Ethan was awesome helping me at he didn't get to go this time, he got sick, but I've been able to depend on him. He's been just like right on it, and friendly to people when they were coming by, and those are things that you can tell they've been raised by the right parents.
And they know if they're not good, I'm going to hear about it, and then their parents are going to hear about it, and then it'll be good.
Yeah, you'd probably be a little easier than the parents.
Yeah, but they're not perfect. They're better than anybody else I know.
Yeah,
That age.
Yeah, well, that's just right discipline and raising them the right way. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and they work. They've had jobs since they're able to drive.
Well, Ethan was acting like he owned the station. He was really, and I noticed him. I'm sitting off to the side just watching him, and he was looking people in the eyes. And that's, according to my granddads, you got to look people in the eyes. It was just like, people won't trust you if you don't look them in the eyes. I was hearing that all the time. And you can tell it's just something he's been raised to do. So, it came normal.
Yeah. He's 15, but in the last few days, he's been out pulling up trees with a tractor, and clearing some land out and doing things like that.
It's not easy work.
No. But I'm proud of his parents too for teaching them to work. Say yes, ma'am, and no, sir.
Yeah, and we got a new DJ in town too, Mr. House.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's going to be on the show next Wednesday.
Andrew is a sight.
Yeah, and he actually helped me out with your event, with
Yeah.
the music event
Yeah.
with Leah. And so what he would do is he would come in just, about like every half hour or so and would introduce the new people who were coming in. So he's quite the DJ now.
He's a good one. Yeah. Proud of Andrew.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, we're going to have to go into a commercial break. Oh, it's almost time to go in for the commercials. So y'all hang in there. Okay, Brian Brown's going to be with us shortly.
Thanks for letting me come on.
Always.
Enjoyed it.
World's best mayor. We'll see you guys a little bit later. Hang in there.
Yeah.
see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when I heard the voice from heaven say, don't tell me about that mountain, tell that mountain about me. Face your fear, shout my name, proclaim the victory. You said your prayers, now take a stand, get up on your knees. You told me about that mountain, now tell the mountain about.
We are back. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC in Christ Radio. We're your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. Thank you so much for listening to us. Now, Charter Communications, that's going to be North Alabama, but we are also worldwide. I don't know if Brian knew about this or not, but we are worldwide right now on Abundant TV, which can be found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. So we appreciate that opportunity as well. And from what I hear, our audience is growing bigger and bigger, almost doubling since we were first on about 2 weeks ago. But anyway, thank you so much. And we appreciate Rob for giving us that opportunity. And Rob will be on the show, by the way, tomorrow, and we will be talking about that as well. I have Brian Brown with me today. Hey, Brian, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. And I got to say this, I was hoping you could be here in person today so I could show you what this garden, Brian, it is taken over. I mean, those concrete blocks, that was a great idea.
Yeah, I'm glad it's worked out for you.
Oh, yeah. We've got more cucumbers than I know what to do with. Tomatoes are all over the place. The beans are just exploding. And guess what? I am not having to weed. I mean,
oh, that's great.
Yeah, I really like that part of it because I think that's why a lot of people don't have gardens. You know, it's because it's a lot of maintenance.
It is. There is a lot of maintenance. And, you know, we've gotten a lot of questions. Well, right now is tomato harvest time. So I get a lot of tomato questions. And I'm definitely no tomato expert. And most of the time I'll just tell people, just go to the market. It's easier to buy them. But where's the fun in that, right?
Right.
So I keep my my handy compendium of tomato diseases book. This is a really thick book, and it has every disease that you could ever dream about on a tomato with pictures. It kind of shows you, you know, what it looks like, you know, that kind of thing. So it's a great resource. I don't recommend somebody go out and buy this because this is about $100. So steer away from that.
Well, let me add something to that. And disease was the biggest problem I had before Phil put this block garden together for me. I've not seen any disease. So why do you think that might be? Because normally something is on the leaves or something.
Yeah, you've probably just done a good job with maintaining it. Did you prune the leaves up on your tomatoes? Yeah, that really helps a lot.
And let's talk about that because it's making it really easy. I think, and I may just be guessing this. I'm not the expert you are, but I'm just noticing because before I was not doing that, so I would have a lot of fruit laying down on the dirt. Mm-hmm. And if you're not careful, does that build disease?
Yeah, absolutely. So what happens a lot of times is leaves from the tomato itself or from other plants actually fall on the ground. And what happens as it rains, or if you water above, from above, like with a watering wand or even natural rainfall, when it hits the ground, some of those leaves contain fungal spores, and those spores splash up, and then they just kind of hit the bottom leaves, and then those form spores, and then they go up and up and up, and they just kind of make their way to the top of the tomato. So it's really important to clean up. Sanitation is the number one problem, or the number one thing you should do when you're taking care of any plant, but especially things that are really sensitive to a lot of different diseases like tomatoes.
Well, I don't know if you've seen any of, I put some videos out there, and in one of the videos, I actually, because I planted a tomato plant or whatever vegetable, and then a marigold, and then, you know, I was alternating that because I like marigolds growing, and I think that kind of helps too. But I just wanted everybody to see the root system of this concrete garden. So I just pulled it up. It did not break, nothing happened. There was such a great root system on those marigolds. I have
Mhm.
never had marigolds with roots like that before. Tomatoes the same way.
That's great. And you know, have you added any kind of soil amendments over the past year or two?
The only thing I've done is with the soil, I put cinnamon in it. And
Mhm.
I know that it could be like an old folks tale or whatever, but that's another thing. The past few years I've done that, and I've noticed less of the root rot with the cinnamon.
Yeah,
I never sprinkle it in there.
yeah, I can't, you know, we can't recommend cinnamon as a extension agent.
Mhm.
We only have to put out things that are scientifically proven to work. So any information that we give is going to be science based. So there's a lot of people who use that. My dad, I think he's used that before. So, um, you know, I think there's some merit to it. Honestly, just you know, personally, I think there's probably some merit to it, but there's usually other things that will control diseases much better
Well,
than
let's
something like
name
cinnamon.
those. What are some of the things people can use?
Really, it depends on the disease. You really have to identify what disease you have first. That's really the initial thing because certain diseases have certain life cycles, and you really need to know what you're dealing with in order to treat it. You can't just throw something at it and say, "Oh, well, it's this." Um, but you can generally, like, let's say you do have a fungus on your tomato or whatever it is. If you have fungus, usually it's identified by little spots all over the leaves. That's almost a telltale sign that it will be a fungal disease. Um, Once it has it, it's not really going to get rid of it per se. It's going to have to grow new leaves. So, you know, not like our bodies where we can, you know, get cut or something and it grows back. Plants don't do that. They have to regenerate a new leaf in order to get rid of that. So if it's diseased, it's not really going to get any better. The only thing you can do is stop it from spreading. So that's when you use something like a fungicide. There's a lot of them labeled out there. There's one called Captan, Captan. That's a really good fungicide for vegetables and for fruit crops. Um, and Daconil's almost, I mean, you can find it almost anywhere. Daconil is a very, very common fungicide. So those are two really good ones that are labeled for vegetable crops. And then, you know, insecticides. You know, right now I got a call this morning about tomato hornworm. And, you know, those are getting all over tomatoes right now. So the best thing to do for that, you can spray something. There's an organic spray out there called BT. It's just the letters BT. It stands for Bacillus thuringiensis, which is actually it is organic and it's a bacteria and it will kill a lot of different insects, but it is organically approved. So if people have concerns about that, that's a good one you can spray on there. That will get rid of the hornworms. Also, if you see one, just pick it off. It's not going to hurt you. That's the easiest thing to do. Just grab it, you know, and pick it off and just throw it in a bucket of soapy water. That's the easiest thing to do. And, you know, I see a lot of social media things on there that say, you know, use Dawn dish detergent on your plants. I cannot stress enough, do not do that. It is
Why
very,
would you do that? I would think it's soapy. I would think that's not a good thing anyway.
yeah, well, the reason why is, okay, so they make a horticultural soap. It's called a soap. You know, it's not the traditional soap like you would bathe with or something. But it's called a horticultural soap. And those are safe for plants, and that's why it's called a horticultural soap. Regular soap, yes, it will kill the insects, but it's also what we call phytotoxic. And that will it can cause damage on the plant because a lot, especially now when it's hot,
Yeah.
you don't want to use anything like that. Honestly, the best thing to do is just to kind of watch your plants and make sure they're healthy. Water from below, you know, don't water the leaves. There's probably not a lot of water going soaking in through the leaves because plants take up water through the root, right?
Uh-huh.
So make sure you're watering the bottom of the plant. That will reduce disease spreading. You know, like I said, with rainfall and overhead irrigation, that will that will cause a lot of fungal disease to spread pretty bad. And just clean up, clean up around your garden. If there's anything laying on the ground, any spent leaves, dead leaves, just rake them up. Just those very simple practices will help tremendously with your garden.
Brian Brown is with us right now. This is my go-to guy. I hope I don't worry you to death. I hope.
Oh, no. I enjoy it.
So I wanted to ask you too, and this pertains to the tomato plants, and I'm really glad I followed that advice. And that's breaking the leaves. I've been pinching them off. I don't know if I'm doing it the right way there, but I'm really careful not to let it splinter down. I was afraid that could cause some problems. So I remembered what you said about the trees, and I thought, well, it's got to apply to tomatoes as well, or any other plant you have. So I'm noticing now it's beginning to look more, instead of a tomato plant, it's beginning to look more like a tree. And the reason I'm saying that, I think the trunk, it's almost like a trunk. I mean, the stem of the tomato is getting really, really round and really thick, which tells me it's got a great root system, which tells me it's going to be able to keep holding those big old tomatoes.
Yeah, and you may want to, if you're still fertilizing it, you may want to lower the nitrogen level. So if you're putting out fertilizer with a high first number, that's what we call the analysis on the fertilizer. So those three numbers there, the first one is nitrogen, the second one is phosphorus, the third one's potassium. Honestly, if you're using a lot of nitrogen, that may be putting on more green growth, because the green is what, the green growth is what nitrogen really pushes when you start fertilizing with that. You may want to do something that's a little lower nitrogen and maybe a little bit higher of the phosphorus and potassium. So that's really important. And the other thing you really want to watch for on tomatoes is blossom end rot. Have you ever heard of blossom end rot?
I haven't. I've had it before. I'm not having it this year.
Good. Well, it's caused by lack of calcium, which is actually caused by inconsistent watering. So if you can put calcium on your soil through gypsum or through lime, both of those are good sources for calcium. Put those on there. But even if you put that on there, if you're watering inconsistently, so if you water once and then you wait 4 days or 3 days to water again, what happens is calcium needs to be in constant supply to the plant. So if you're inconsistent watering, that calcium will not go to where the fruit is. And what happens is that calcium ion, so these are two cell walls, and that calcium ion, this is one negative, and this is the other negative, and that calcium ion's a 2+. This is getting into chemistry now. But that calcium ion binds those cell walls together. And so if you don't have that calcium ion, what happens is it collapses, and it looks like a disease. It looks like you're into your tomato, like the bottom of the tomato. It looks like it's rotten, but it's really not. It's just a calcium.
Well, it's kind of like, we in school, and again, I'm going into science again because I loved science. It's one of my most favorite subjects. And so you get a magnet, and you'd have it facing this way, but then turn those magnets around and they would go this way. They would go away from each other. So that's kind of that effect as well. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We I'm definitely no scientist. I didn't do great in chemistry, but
you're doing great.
But as I've gotten older, it's really
starts making sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really makes sense, especially when you apply it in real world circumstances. Things just click in your mind. You're like, oh, I get it now. That. It makes chemistry makes the world go round, right?
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, it is interesting when you learn the base property of why things happen. You start to understand other things too. So if any kids are watching that's in school, that's why you have to learn chemistry, where you can understand those things.
Absolutely, let it sink in. The block garden, I'm really glad I listened to you. And there's so many things, Brian, you have been heaven sent to us. And the trees. And so Phil wanted me to ask you a question about the fruit trees. And there's fruit everywhere. But now, how much is too much fruit? Like the peaches I mean, we're having to really watch it. I mean, there's like grapes, clusters of grapes. There are so many
Yeah.
things in there. How many should be to say to a particular area?
About every 4 to 6 inches is one every 4 to 6 inches. So
We
one
need
of
to
the
get rid of some
yeah.
of those, don't we?
Yeah. So one of the key things with a peach tree is not only do you have to spray them all the time, because peaches, tomatoes, and pecans are my 3 problem plants. I get more calls about those 3
I
things than
call them
anything.
problem children.
Yeah, they're my problem plants. So, but those 3 things, they, especially peaches, they get almost every disease known to man. There's so many, especially here in the South. It's hot, it's humid. Fungal disease is going to break out like crazy. So, you have to spray them pretty often. But one of the things that a lot of people don't do is they need to thin their fruit. So after they bloom and they start getting the little tiny peaches on there, they need to go out there and pinch some of those off. And so you don't want those big clusters. If you do that, you're going to end up with little hard peaches that are about the size of a golf ball, and they never get bigger. So if you thin those out, what will happen is the peaches you left will actually become good sized peaches, because all those resources, all those sugars, all the water is going into that peach and not being distributed around all the other peaches. So always thin your peaches to about, I think it's, and again, I'm no peach expert, but I think it's about 1 every 4 inches, maybe 1 every 6 inches.
Well, we got a job to do.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, Phil has taken some of those off. And so what I've done, we have bees, and we actually did a harvest on the bees. We only took the big boxes. And so there's 10 racks per box. Well, we only, out of one box, we only took 2.5. I'm going to say 2.5. And we put up like 8 pints of honey off of 2
Wow.
racks. And so they're buzzing around like crazy. So we're going to do it again at the end of this month. I just didn't have a whole lot of time to do it this week.
That's great.
I'm really saying that's got a lot to do with that garden too.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're buzzing everywhere, and they're all around the garden. Everything, all the fruits, everything's doing really well.
Great. That's awesome. Well, you love gardening, and I know you've really worked hard to try to get that garden going this time. So it's exciting to see the fruits of your labor now.
Yeah, but you know what? I really don't feel I've not worked really as hard as I have in the past.
Really?
And no, because it was just the initial putting the blocks together. That was the initial deal, that I was spending a lot of time weeding. And again, I'm not having to do that right now. So let me ask you a question. We're going to be out there taking peaches off now. There's just too many. I'm going to say there's pretty close to several hundred peaches on that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And on the other tree as well. So, and the bees love the smell of it. Sometimes they'll get out and they'll kind of roam and they'll get into the peach tree, I've noticed. And then they'll do their thing, and then they'll go back to the beehive again. So what Phil did one day, he took some of the peaches off and he threw it just down on the ground close to the beehive, and they just love the smell of it. Mm-hmm. So that's part of what we'll do this afternoon.
Yeah, there's a lot of different, bees are attracted to a lot of different things. So I'm glad y'all have some. I think everybody, if they've got the land to do it on, everybody needs a hive. They're fascinating species. It's really interesting when you learn the roles of each individual bee and kind of what they do, and the way they communicate through dancing and things like that. I find that fascinating. Yeah. So I really find that fascinating, and there's just so many things about bees that are great, and I need to learn more about them myself.
Well, I've got the fever. I'm in it now.
Yeah.
I really am. Oh, and now I know. I didn't know, because I go to the Jackson County Beekeepers Association. They have a monthly meeting. They're not going to have one this month, but they have. It's always the first Thursday of the month, and I have learned so much from those guys. They've been so helpful. And a couple of them have been on the show, so that helps to have them on the show, like just getting that information out to the people. But the things they have told me, we did it for the first time, Monday, and just something. It's almost like I think of things in a business realm. And so finding out about the bees and how they work is almost like a well-run business, where you've got that queen bee and she pretty much well directs everybody, and you got the workers and you got the drones, you got all that stuff going on. It's just that they work really good together. The signal they send to each other.
Yeah. They know their role, and that's what they do. And, that's what they do. It's fascinating how they communicate and how they do things. And, even when they move, sometimes bees will move from different areas, fun fact about bees. Did you know, half of the US bee population is shipped to California every year?
I heard that one of the guys at the bee meeting mentioned that.
Yeah, they ship them because they have to pollinate all the almond trees. And I don't know if you've ever driven so we went to Yosemite last year, and we drove from Oakland over to Yosemite, and probably for 50 straight miles, I mean, just a flat, straight road, as far as we could see, north, south, east, and west, was almond trees, as far as you can see. I mean, literally driving for 50 miles and nothing but almonds. It was really, really cool. And for a plant person like me, it was fascinating. And at first you were like, oh, they're little peach trees. No, they're not peach trees. They're almonds, because almonds and peaches are in the same genus. So yeah. So you can have almonds and peaches on the same tree.
Oh, all right. That's another idea. I'll share that idea with you after the show today. So we just got a text message from Pamela, and so she wanted me to ask you about this. This is due to her hydrangeas, and she said that she moved. She said she rooted a limb. Wait a minute, I just lost it. Okay, she rooted a limb off of this tree, and the one she rooted it off of was blue. But she set it out a different part of the yard, and the one she rooted it from is turned pink.
Yep, that's right.
Wow, how'd that happen?
So this is one of the strange phenomenons with particularly with hydrangeas. Based on your soil pH, you can change the color of them. So and I forget which way it goes. I'm probably totally mistaken, but if you have a lower pH, I think it's if you have a low pH, they'll turn pink. And if you turn a higher pH, they turn blue. So now there's things you can do if you add lime to the soil. If you do lime, it's going to raise the pH of your soil. Now, I've always heard, this is not extension recommended, but I've always heard old timers would put rusty nails in the bottom of the planting hole, and it would change the color of them. So yeah, they can change colors based on soil pH.
Okay. Because I remember my granddad, I was going to throw away we were working in the barn one time, throwing stuff away. My grandmother had what you call a burn pile. And so I said, do you want these in the burn pile? And it was just this thing of just rusty nails that he'd been collecting. He said, no, don't get rid of those. Your grandmother will shoot us. And so we got to keep those rusty nails. So I guess that's what she was doing, because she really loved hydrangeas.
Yeah. And hydrangeas, they're interesting. There's tons of enthusiasts of hydrangeas out there, and there's several species of hydrangeas that's out there, and don't ask me about pruning them, but depending on what question. Yeah, so we actually we just had a webinar on that hopefully will be posted on the Alabama Extension Smart Yards Facebook page. Every week on Wednesday we do what's called Garden Chat. We do Alabama Smart Yards and Alabama Garden Chat. And so this week we had a guy that was at Aldridge Gardens, and he did a pruning seminar for us. So, he told exactly how to prune which species, because some you prune on new wood, which means that if it blooms on new wood, then you need to prune them early in the year. So like February, something like that. And then some set their blooms in the summer. So if you prune them in the wintertime, then you've basically taken all the blooms off. So you really need to know what species of hydrangea you have before you start cutting on them. So it's really, really interesting when you understand it. And really that goes for any plant. There's a couple of exceptions on the hydrangeas. That's why I was like, don't ask me. So there's just certain exceptions to the rule, but the rule is called the May rule. And that's what we always called it. And if it blooms, if I get this right, if it blooms before May 1st, you prune it after it blooms. So you think about this. So think about azaleas. When do they bloom? They bloom early in the year, right?
Mhm.
So you want to prune them after they bloom. So, they bloom, let's say April, somewhere in April.
Uh-huh.
After those blooms fade away, then you can go in there and just start chopping. And you can do that. The other side of that rule is if it blooms after May 1st, you prune it before it blooms. So if it's going to bloom like crepe myrtles, for example, that's probably a bad example because you shouldn't ever cut a crepe myrtle. But they do bloom. Yeah, they do bloom in the summertime though. So, right now, right outside this window, I've got some crepe myrtles that are blooming and they bloom in the summer. So you need to prune them before the new growth starts. So you want to prune them in February.
Okay. All right. We're going to have to go into a commercial break. Can you hang around a few more minutes after
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
Awesome. Because we're going to talk about aluminum foil and then saran wrap when we come back. I know that sounds weird, but we're going to be right back in just a couple of minutes. We'll be back. Y'all hang in there, okay?
I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time.
Good afternoon. We are back. Short break. We got a lot of texts coming in. So everybody wants to ask Brian Brown a question, okay? Because this is my go-to guy. This is who I ask all questions to. So he's giving me some great advice. The best one is the block garden. I'm telling you what, it's nice to have this big bounty of fruits and vegetables coming in without all the weeding. And it's something you got to do. You got to weed. So I went to a farm. This is up in Mentone. And Cheryl Baker is the owner of this farm. And she has huge greenhouses. She sells to stores and what have you. And a lot of stuff going on this farm. There was no cell phone service, no internet, no nothing. And so next time I go to Cheryl's farm, Cheryl, I had to bring like just a regular movie camera so we can go ahead and video this because none of it came out. So I was walking through her, and it's the botanical gardens. You just think you need to go to Cheryl's farm. Greenhouses, the whole works. So I looked on some of the trees and I said, this is going to be a really crazy question. Why do you have aluminum foil on your trees? And she said, I got to show you something. And this is about rooting. And she said, this is how you do it. Yep. So she peeled off the aluminum foil and then she has saran wrap on it. She took that off and she said, take a look at this. And she said, as far as she's concerned, there's no other way to root. What do you say about that?
That's probably what works best for her. And that is a totally legitimate way of propagation. That is called an air layer. And so air layering is a very, very common, especially with trees that are with woody trees, basically, or woody shrubs for that matter. But especially on woody trees, what you do if you want to propagate something and make a new plant out of it, things like, let's say you have a rubber tree plant. That's a really common one to do. What you do is you buy you some sphagnum peat moss and soak it in water. And it tends to be a little bit kind of hard to wet. So you may have to squeeze it and get some water into it. Then take the limb that you want and wound it. So take a knife just cut a little piece out of it. You may want to do it on both sides. And what you want to do, take that sphagnum peat moss, wrap it around that wound, and then take saran wrap or aluminum foil. I would say saran wrap is probably better, just because it's a little more durable than aluminum foil. But you wrap that around it and take you some bread ties or some pipe cleaners and tighten it around the end and just kind of wrap it around there tight. And then it takes, depending on the species, I would say, maybe 3 or 4 months, and it will form roots. And every now and then you may want to check it and make sure it hadn't dried out or anything. But eventually especially with a saran wrap, you'll start seeing roots develop. And once you have a good solid root system, just take that limb, chop it off, put it in some soil, and you're good to go.
Well, I was really impressed.
Yeah,
And
but that's called an air layer.
She did both. She had the saran wrap and the aluminum foil under this at the same time. And so, I mean, it was fun just watching what she was doing out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of different propagation techniques, budding, grafting, layering. I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of techniques, and it really depends on what kind of species you're trying to grow or trying to propagate. That really has a lot to do with it. Some methods are more successful than others.
Okay, let me get back to my text. By the way, if you'd like to send a text, 256-659-4319. So Sherry came up with a question. Let me find her again, because my phone kind of goes out. I need to fix it while I'm on the show so it doesn't do that. And we'll just go ahead and take this one right here from Ken. And so Ken said that this is the first time he has raised muscadines. And so he's afraid they're not coming up. He's seeing tiny little muscadines, he says. And how long before they will bear fruit?
Well, I'm definitely no muscadine expert, but I wonder how old his plants are.
He said this is the first year.
Okay. So it's probably going to take a couple of years for them to start producing. One of the things that's really important, especially if you have a really old muscadine, is Donna, we looked at yours. You really need to prune them. That's essential.
It's healthy.
Yeah. So there's some great pruning videos on the aces.edu website. Those are great. And they teach you how to train what's called a cordon. So you grow them up and you put them on a trellis. The part that if it grows up and then out, that's called a cordon. So you really want to isolate those cordons and then prune them back all the way to there every year. You do that in early winter. Late winter, early spring. And when you cut them, don't be scared if it starts bleeding. If it starts dripping water, that's what they do. Muscadines they're really known for that. So don't be scared to prune things back. The only thing you should be scared of pruning is crepe myrtles, and I will harp on that. That's a hill I'm going to die on.
The day you die.
That's right. That's right. So, don't be scared to prune, especially fruit trees, because fruit trees really, or fruiting vines, fruiting trees, anything like that really needs pruned, especially muscadine. So, just keep it healthy. Muscadines, they're a native grape. So, it's doesn't take a lot of care for it. You may want to throw some fertilizer out every now and then. But if you need some info about that, they can give me a call, email, any of that, text message me. I take all the above. So, but yeah, we can help you, give you information about how to prune them, how to train them, and how to fertilize and all that stuff.
Well, I'll tell you saved our muscadines, because I think Brian almost passed out when he saw the muscadine.
It was a mess.
Everywhere. and you're going to love this, Brian. So Phil wanted to know what I wanted for Mother's Day. I said, I want a wood chopper.
Oh, yeah.
So he says, you're one strange woman. You know that? Most women want jewels. You want a wood chopper. Okay. So I got a wood chopper. And so that's another thing we did. We cut it back. It looked like we were going to kill it. We really will Phil did most of the work. But I got all the limbs and put them in the wood chopper and put that out there for the bees.
Yeah.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. But it's like you said, it looked like it was crying or something.
Yeah.
And because, and I thought, man, and then I remembered you said it might do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
They definitely, if it's a good healthy plant, it's gonna weep like that after you cut it. So it's not crying because you cut it. It's that's just what it does.
Well, and another thing I remembered, and you just mentioned it just a few seconds ago, and that's kind of separating those the what do you call them?
The cordons.
Cordons.
Yeah.
And then we did that too. So we've got them going like this way. We did the ones out at the front, and then down at the back of the house, you saw that one's one that was like really looking rough. And you saved its life, both of them, because they're already growing out there again.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're going to be producing pretty heavy this year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I said, you really got to prune those every year to have good quality fruit.
Mm-hmm. Now you got another message, and this is from Kay. Okay, Kay said that she's a first timer at Roses. And so she said, is it wise to leave the blooms on there? I think I know the answer to this one. He said, is it wise to leave the blooms, or should I be cutting them off after they start getting dark, I guess.
If they're starting to fade, you just go ahead and cut them. It's fine. That's called deadheading. And you can just chop those off. Hopefully, you can, at the peak, when they're in peak bloom, you can cut them off then, and then you can have some nice arrangements in your house. So that's another thing. Don't be scared of pruning roses. Roses need cut down, especially if you have something like a knockout rose. You want to cut them down to about 18 to 24 inches every single year, because that will control their height. And I promise you, by the end of the summer, you'll have more blooms than you know what to do with. They just go crazy when you prune them. So prune your roses every year in February, right before they start, putting on new growth, before they start budding out. You definitely want to do that. If you have a hybrid rose that's been grafted, look at the very bottom. If you don't know if it's been grafted or not, look at the very bottom of it, and there'll be like a hump around it. So it's kind of like a swollen part, and that's called the bud union. And that bud union is where they took a rootstock of a hardy rose that may have been native, or, just something that was cold tolerant, disease tolerant. And then they grafted that rose that has the flower that you want on top of that. And so it produces that disease resistance, drought resistance. There's all kind of things they breed or they graft for. So make sure you cut above that union, and then you'll have, like I said, you'll have more roses you know what to do with.
And that's nice. Go ahead and give some to a neighbor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get on their good side if you do that. I promise you that as well. Another thing that you had mentioned too, and this was, about cutting back and that kind of thing. A lot of things have really, really done well. But one of the things, and roses is one of them, but I make soaps. And I like to get the rose petals and put them out and then dry them and put those in my soaps. But you got to make sure they're completely dry, okay? Because you're going to ruin that soap if you don't do that. Okay, so Christy has a question for you, and this pertains to catnip. She said she set the catnip out last year, and it didn't grow that much, but she said it's just about taking over the whole garden now.
Yes. So she wants to get rid of it. Is that what it is, or?
That's what it looks like.
Okay, so catnip and mint, and there's a few other things like that are herbs. They just go crazy. So the best thing you could do is dig it up and put it in a pot. That's honestly the best way you can then you could control it. Just dig up the whole thing. Try to get all the roots out of there. If you want to get rid of it, just spray something like a Roundup. That's a complete control herbicide, and just be very careful with it when you're spraying around your other plants. But if she wants to keep some of it, take a clump of it, dig it up and then put it in a pot, and that way you can control it. So I don't recommend anything like catnip or mint. If you're going to plant mint, do it in a small pot, because it just...
I know, I've lived that life, and I thought I'd never get it up. I mean, it was just all over the place. Now that's where the strawberries are, and the strawberries are doing good, by the way.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really happy. We're very pleased with them. Um, oh, and I wanted to mention this to you also. There is one of my friends, Deja Lee, and she loves watching the show when you're on it. And every time you're on the show, she always says, "I love that guy. Keep him coming." So she gave me some seeds, and it's like a loofah gourd, and this thing is not gonna. Yeah.
These are ones my dad grew. So
I love those things. So she gave me a few seeds, and they're coming up, and they're just like going crazy. I planted them right in a concrete, again. And so, I mean, this thing is just going all the way up to, where the entrance is to the deck, and it's going all the way up that thing, and it's going all the way. That thing's going to be all the way around that huge whole deck, I'm pretty sure. So what is maintenance on those things, and how long does it take? I've never planted one of those before.
So loofah are actually gourds. So have you ever grown a gourd before?
No.
Have you grown squash?
Oh yeah.
Well, squash is a gourd.
I wonder.
So there you go. It's like one of those things where, all rectangles are square, or no, all rectangles are squares and not all squares are rectangles, or vice versa, whatever it is. It's kind of like that. But yeah, they are a gourd. So they are a winter gourd. So what you want to do is you want to plant those, and they'll produce a really long fruit. It's probably some of them. I had one in my office one time. It was like 30 inches long. It was huge.
Wow.
So they will get very, very big, but they have a thin skin on them. And what you do is you just leave it out there. It's great to grow it on a trellis, so you can kind of make it climb. Just have it somewhere where it can grow up. And then those loofah will hang off of there, and just leave them on the vine. They're going to take care of themselves. They really don't need a lot of maintenance because they're kind of a rough thing to grow. But just leave them on the vine and just let them die and just let them dry out. And in the wintertime, once that thin skin starts to dry out, take it off, squeeze it, and then it'll knock all the skin off there. Keep the seed where you can grow some next year. Chop it up into little, 6-inch, 4-inch pieces, and then you have some loofah.
And it's a great exfoliator for your skin, by the way. And I sell soaps. And I thought, man, I planted, there's 3 of them coming up. Did I overdo it? I mean, there's going to be loads all over the place.
No, you're probably okay. Yeah. I don't know exactly how much they produce. We had never grown any before. I do have some seed, and I'll bring you some seed. I've got some, next time I come up that way, I'll bring you some. I've got loofah. I've got gourds, like Martin gourds. And then I have a very special variety of collards. So if you like collards,
I love collards.
My dad says it's the best collards he's ever had. He calls them Louisiana blue. He said they're not tough and they're very sweet. So I'll bring you some that you can plant this fall.
I want to do that. Now my kale is coming up real good, and but it's not a real tough kale, and I make salads out of it. Mm-hmm. And so it makes a really good salad. But I love it. And Phil laughs at me. I'll say, I'm going to run outside to the store and pick up some kale.
Yeah.
Now tomatoes, we're eating a whole lot of salad. I should be losing some weight because of that. We've got about 6 minutes left in this segment. Do you have any workshops or anything going on right now?
Well, actually, we've got a workshop coming up. We haven't solidified the date, but it will be in Etowah County and Marshall County. So we're going to have a fire ant seminar coming up.
Goodness.
So
I need to go to that one.
Yeah, so we're going to do, commercial and residential people are welcome to come to that. But we will, if you'll watch our county Facebook pages for Marshall County and for Etowah County Extension, they will put the advertisement out once we get all the details finalized. So we don't know exactly where it is. We just kind of came up with the idea last week because one of the suggested from one of our stakeholders said, hey, let's do a fire ant seminar. So that's what we're going to do. Give a demonstration on how you can put it out in your lawn. That's one of the things that's very annoying to do or to take. They're so bad. They get all over your yard. But it's really not expensive to control them. So, so I think it's going to be a really good seminar. We also have the Master Gardener class coming up. So the Master Gardener class this time will be in Gunnersville, where I'm at, and we'll host it here in Marshall County. And if you want to take it and you're in DeKalb County, we will rotate this coming spring to DeKalb County. So the Master Gardener class will be in DeKalb this spring. So I know you were interested in that.
I want to go. I was afraid I was too late though. Am I too late to register?
No, you can do it now. It's totally open. If anybody wants to join the Master Gardener class that's going to be in Marshall County this time, they can email me. My email is brownbw@auburn.edu.
Okay.
And I will send them a link to register. And right now, if you hit the time right now we have an early bird special. So usually the cost is $200, but right now it's $150. So if you get in before July 8th, it will be $150. So we extended that deadline. We had some technical issues we had to do, so we extended that deadline to the 8th of July. And we would love to have you. Anybody that wants to come and learn more about horticulture, that would be great. There's two more things. We also have a class called Garden U. It's basically the Master Gardener class without the volunteer component. And, we want people to volunteer as Master Gardeners. That's what they do. But if you can't make it, to our labs, because labs are during the day, you can't make it to that. We have a garden, what's called Garden U. And it's the same information. You do some at-home labs, you do the same test, the same instruction, but you don't have to do the volunteer component. Now, it is more expensive. The price is $250 on that. But if you don't have the time to do it, you can still learn all the things that a Master Gardener would learn. You're not called a Master Gardener, but if you take the class and decide you want to become one, all you have to do is a background check, and we'll welcome you right in.
Well, I want to be a Master Gardener.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so much to learn. And I would think, because the world changes and the environment changes, what have you, you could never be a know-it-all. So you really need to take those classes, I would think.
Absolutely. And, it's a good social program. I mean, there's, you volunteer and you serve the community and you help Extension by doing that. But you get to know people that have a passion for gardening just like you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So another class we're going to offer probably in September. I'm going to try to do it in Etowah County, and then I'm going to come up to DeKalb County and do that. Is my class that I offered here in Marshall in the spring, and it's called Plant Camp. And it is a crash course in horticulture.
Okay.
And I will warn you, it's fast and it's intense. There's so much information, but it's a 5-week session, and we will go through soils, we'll go through landscape, we'll go through fruit and vegetables, we'll do weeds and disease, whole 9 yards, and I will teach you everything that's up here. So it may not last 5 days.
That's a lot of info. So I'm going to tell you what, I'd like to get inside that brain of yours.
I don't know if you do or not. It's all over the place.
We got time for one more question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is about pecan trees. Let me get it back up again. Okay, this is from Matt, and Matt said, how long does it take for a pecan tree to reproduce? He's had these trees for about 4 years.
Depends. Everything depends. It depends on the species. So some produce earlier than others.
He's not saying what kind. He just says pecan tree.
Yeah. Honestly, the best thing to do as a homeowner, if you're going to plant a pecan tree, make sure that is resistant to scab. Scab is one of the most prevalent diseases in the southeast of pecans. It's really bad, and it will basically, it'll never fruit. It will never do anything. So make sure it's scab resistant. And it's really, there's not a lot a homeowner can do other than fertilize their pecan and to, just take general care of it. People, it gets diseases sometimes, phylloxera, which is the little tiny insect. If you had little, it looks like little balls all over the tree, those are not fruit. Those are phylloxera, which is an insect that lays its egg inside the stem and it makes a little gall, a little round ball around it. So Phylloxera is really bad this year. I had them on my pecan tree. But you just really have to, there's not a lot you can do for a pecan as a homeowner because you have to spray up in the canopy of it. And it's just impractical.
One more, I promise. This is the last one. Y'all keep shooting them. That's good. Thank you so much. So Melissa, I guess you just heard you talking about the pecan trees. She said, are you supposed to plant trees and have a mama and a daddy, or can you just have one fruit tree?
Okay, so it depends. Again, really, if it's a pecan tree, you really do need a pollinator. Some are self-fertile, but you really kind of need a pollinator for them. So,
yeah, we planted, or I didn't. Phil did, and believe me, it was quite the task. We have so many rocks. I don't know how many rocks he dug up in this. I think we could probably build a rock house just off of the rocks we have out here. But he did. Everything he planted is a mama and a papa.
Yeah. Well, I'll just go ahead and say, if anybody, you're getting bombarded with questions, and I appreciate that. But if anybody has anything, they can always call or text me. It's 256-558-8129, or email me, brownbw@auburn.edu. Be glad to help you out. If I don't know the answer, I'll send you to somebody that does.
Absolutely. Brian, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's always awesome. I always look forward to Wednesdays, first Wednesday of the month. But again, thank you so much for being on the show today. Hope you guys have a great day, and we sure appreciate you listening to us. And you folks up north, if you do gardening a little bit different than we do here, just let me know. I would be interested in what you do, especially when it pertains to fruit trees. You can send me an email if you'd like, Donna at icradio.media. If it's easier to send a text, you can do that. 256-659-4319. Brian, it's great to see you. And it's great to see the rest of you out there too. Again, thank you so much for watching. We sure appreciate it. See you tomorrow at the same time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me.
I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when I heard the voice from heaven say, don't tell me about that mountain, tell that mountain about me. Face your feet, shout my name, proclaim the victory. You said your prayers, now take a stand, get up on your knees. You told me about that mountain, now tell the mountain about me. Introduce the problem to the answer, and you will see that problem step aside. There's no place for fear, the God of heaven is near. Step out in faith and face it eye to eye. Don't tell me about that mountain, tell that mountain about me. Face your fear, shout my name, proclaim the victory. You said your prayers, now take a stand, get up on your knees. You told me about that mountain.